What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I'm here with Casey and Michelle, and we are discussing episode 20 of the final season of The Walking Dead. So Pamela, she's starting to fuck with our people, man.
She needs to die.
She ain't learned yet. She's starting to fuck with our people. So Carol is in the bakery. She's trying to collect some food for, to meet up with the rest of them. And I'm going to say this. After the last episode, we already know that Pamela has basically called all of them enemies to the state.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they trying to do this in broad daylight? Like, why are they leaving in broad daylight and doing all that stuff? That's what was confusing me, because they took Rosita in the last episode. Then they come after Carol in this episode while I was like, why are we not sneaking around and doing this? Like, we still walking around like everything's hunky-dory. I was confused.
I don't think at that point they realized they was getting snatched up.
No, I don't think so either.
Because they were snatching them. Because remember, she was just standing there talking to Ezekiel. And she turned around and he was gone.
But in the last episode, you heard on the loudspeakers where Pamela was saying these people are considered enemies of the state. She was talking about all the people who were friends with Eugene Porter. So that's why I was like, why are y'all just like not trying to sneak out?
I don't think they even knew that was happening or heard that. That could have been all at the same time. But I just know you just can't mess with Carol.
That's one person who will not be captured.
No.
I give a damn. You are not catching Carol.
It was funny because the way, so she's sitting there, she's getting a little stuff, and she hears footsteps behind her, and she smiles, and it's Ezekiel. And she's sitting there talking back and forth to Ezekiel, which I like the little gist of their conversation, because it's like, everybody's been so focused on the whole Carol and Daryl, will they, won't they? And I know there are people out there who didn't like Carol and Ezekiel together. I actually love them together. But I like that something as simple as this scene can make you realize, like, this wasn't a casual relationship for them. Like, they were together almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were together long enough that she knows what his footsteps sound like.
Right.
I'm just saying, you cannot like their relationship. Just give them a little respect. They were in it for the long haul, and had Henry not died, I think they probably would still be together. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But anyway, even though they're not together, they still have a really great friendship, and I just kind of like the little banter in this scene where, she was like, didn't we already say our goodbyes? And he was like, yeah, but I thought you might need some more medical supplies. And they're just having a regular conversation. And she's like, oh, I left you some sesame bagels in the back. And you hear like some stuff in the background, but it doesn't sound like a struggle per se. It just sounds like something might have dropped or whatever. And when she turns around, he is gone. I was like, how the fuck they get him out of there so quick? Because, I mean, he ain't the biggest person, but this is Ezekiel we talking about. He's not just going to fold up and let somebody take him.
Right. Chloroform, or they could have needled him.
They stuck behind. They came right behind him, which they should have did to Carol instead of coming towards her.
This is the thing. I think everybody in the Commonwealth except for Lance, because Lance actually worked with her. Everybody in the Commonwealth, just like everybody everywhere else, they underestimate this little silver-haired lady. They look at the hair and they're like, oh, she's this little old lady. She works in the bakery. She takes care of some of the kids. Oh, yeah, we're going to be able to go and like take her real quick. Y'all going to stop underestimating Carol. Y'all going to stop underestimating anybody who came in that group. Anybody who came in that group.
That part.
I mean, the children are a force to be reckoned with. So what makes you think you're going to take this woman? Carol? Mm-hmm. I was just like,
Daryl saved our group more than one time.
Yes.
Daryl ain't nobody to be fucked with.
Right.
Period. Whether her ass is baking cookies, putting on the front, scaring shit out of little kids. Don't fuck with Carol. Do not fuck. Sam could not eat. Fucking with Carol.
You know what? I rewatched that scene a couple of days ago, the scene where they were trying to escape and Sam freaked out because he kept flashing back to what Carol was saying. I was like, you know what? Carol was wrong as hell for that shit.
Yes.
I love her, but that was one of the times when I was like, Carol, you bitch. You didn't have to do that to that little boy.
I'm sure she didn't think it would be that bad. But Sam was also one of the kids who needed a whooping, and she whooped him. He got a verbal whooping.
Well,
he got a verbal whooping.
You know.
He acted right after that.
True.
Granted, he was scared of them, but he acted right.
Yeah, but that whole Sam thing, we could talk about that forever because that was a whole messed up situation anyway. And it wasn't until after she realized what was going on that she was like, oh, wait, maybe I should have been nicer to him, you know. But anyway, hindsight 2020, she was wrong for that shit. But anyway, they gonna learn to stop fucking with Carol.
Right. And they should have watched the montage in the beginning of the episode to know.
Had they seen that, they would have known.
They would have left her alone.
But again, but that's Carol's strength. She always presents herself as somebody that's not formidable.
Right.
That's how she can get into spaces that other people can't get into. That's how she's able to observe things that nobody else can observe because people are so unassuming about her.
Because hell, even remember when they first went into Alexandria and they took all their weapons, how she was acting like saying, "Oh, this big old rifle, I can barely hold it."
Girl, when I tell you, when I saw that scene, I was looking at the screen like, really, Carol? Like, you don't know how to take the thing off. Girl, she's funny. She is funny. But
that's part of her mystique. Like, of course you don't think she a sharpshooter because you already know she a sharpshooter once the end of the episode came. Because what?
Correct.
But please don't play with Carol.
Don't play with her.
Please do not play with her.
Don't play with her. She
That's
has
the one person
set
on this show. She probably even worse than Rick. She worse than Rick. Don't fuck with Carol.
Yeah, because Rick is gonna come at you direct. Rick is gonna come at you direct. Carol is gonna sneak up. Oh, she's not even gonna sneak. She's just gonna be there, so unassuming, so unthreatening. I mean, you saw the way she looked when she realized what Lance had done as far as sending Daryl and Rosita, and she found out that was something purposeful that he did. When she turned around, she looked like, "Oh, okay, I got you, motherfucker.
I got your ass.
I got you." But they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn. They're gonna learn the hard way, but they're gonna learn. Don't fuck with Carol. So anyway. These two guys come in trying to grab her, and of course, she starts throwing like the bakery rack. She hits one of them in the neck with a bakery pan. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I know. I used to work in the school cafeteria. Those pans hurt. They hurt. I don't know how he got up after that, but yeah, they got up. They chased her. They couldn't find her. She was hiding, and then she went to where Daryl and the kids were, where they were all supposed to meet. And of course, there's signs of struggle there. There's blood on the floor, on the ground rather. And then you hear this grunt inside the building. And Daryl is on the floor being choked to death by one of the people. I'm like, you know what? When I saw this, I was like, how in the world did that happen? But you know what? We tend to forget sometimes our people are only human. Like we're so used to seeing them kick ass in certain situations that to see somebody have the drop on them, it's kind of like, what the fuck?
Because in my mind, it's like, why Daryl ain't John Wick? What you just letting? What is this? How you let him get on top of you?
But he had the kids with him.
Yeah,
because we know he had Judith with him because Judith was with him when they sent off, Aaron and them. So they could have all been with him, or, at least her and RJ were with him. I don't know who else might have been with him, but yeah, he was probably trying to keep them from getting taken and they got him from behind. So he's on the ground struggling.
He definitely ain't giving them up willingly.
Oh, no.
No, not at all.
He was going to have to heal me.
Right. And that dude was trying. I would give it to him. He was giving it his best shot. However,
but I think one of the things that we know Daryl's not gonna die. you know. So I think them releasing the spinoff kind of early, kind of, you know, don't give you that
that sense of danger.
You know, you're like, oh, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he still can lose a limb, an arm, an eye. We don't know.
They ain't got that much. They're not gonna pull for. He not in the comics, so they're not gonna pull nothing, losing an arm or nothing from that.
No,
they be able to do that one.
No, and I don't think they would do that to Daryl anyway.
People will riot.
Yep. So anyway, he's fighting with the dude. There's another guy on the ground who's already dead, and Carol ends up knocking the guy out, or not knocking him out, knocking him off of Daryl, so Daryl can at least breathe. They can kind of attack him, but the dude that's dead, animates and attacks the other guy. I'm like, wait a minute now. So there really is no like rhyme or reason as to how fast or how slow walkers turn, because it's so random in so many different cases that it really makes me wonder if it has something to do with your DNA or your biology that determines how fast you turn as a walker, or does it have something to do with the way that you're killed? You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, you couldn't have been dead no more than 10 minutes.
Right, because Daryl had to kill him because that's when they were doing the struggle. So I don't know. It could be your chemistry. It could be your blood circulation.
Look how long it took Sebastian to turn.
Yeah, like 2 days.
Yeah, it took him a while. I don't know if I think it was 2 days. It might have been.
I'm like literally joking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It probably was 10 minutes, but the way the scene carried on, it seemed like it was, she had some time to grieve.
I think it was it seemed like it was a few hours for Sebastian. And we've seen like like we said at the beginning of the show, Amy, it took hours for her, like literally from overnight to morning time before she changed. And I think Shane was kind of sudden. So I think it just all depends.
Yeah, Shane was quick.
Yeah, Shane was quick too. So I think I don't know. Maybe it has to do with, I don't know. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, like we talk about Shane, we're talking about Sebastian, we're talking about this dude. Maybe it has something to do with adrenaline, because they were fighting or they were in states of, kind of like agitation. Maybe that has something to do with it. I know we're just pulling strings, but I mean, if you think about it, most of the people who turn very quickly, they're in stages of fight. Even, think Sadiq.
But even when you look at the kingdom, when the kingdom was fighting this is current in my brain, the Whisperers and Ezekiel and his men were out there and they were shooting them, and they shot all of them except for him. And
the saviors.
The saviors. Yeah. Okay. See, I'm combining. So it took different ones animated at different times. Now, they all didn't get up at the same time. It was like, I think one on the left side of the field, and one on the right, and one in the middle. And it was like a domino effect.
Yeah. So I just wonder if that has anything to do with how long that happens, But anyway, so yeah. They realize that the kids have been taken, everybody's been taken, which I'm like, Carol, how everybody's been taken? Just because they came for you? But I guess that would be the smart play, right? That would be the smart play. Okay, you know what? We're going to have to take all of these people because they're posing a threat to us. But now you done pissed Daryl off because you done took the kids. You done pissed Carol off because y'all done came after her. Y'all done took her ex-husband. Y'all tried to kill her best friend. So y'all got two pissed off people here.
It's not going to end well.
It's
not at all.
And then not just the two pissed off people, you have Pamela Milton in her office talking to, I'm guessing, the elite people of the Commonwealth. These are the people that stay on the other side that we have not seen yet. And she's sitting there telling them she has, these people are enemies of the state. We have the situation handled, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear Yumiko coming down the hall, like, let me go. And this guy tries to hold her and she punches him in the face. I was like, see, you pissing all our people off.
Keep on underestimating them. That's all they're doing.
And Pamela really thinks that she has Yumiko in a bind because as she tells her, she was like, look, yeah, I took your friend, I removed your friends from the Commonwealth. They are a threat. And this is what I need you to do. In order for you to be reunited with your friends, you're going to have to prosecute Eugene for my son's murder. And if you want to see your friends alive again, and also, oh, don't forget, we got your brother too. So if you want all this to be okay, if you want them to be safe, you have to do this thing. And Yumiko is pissed. She's like, I'm not about to prosecute my friend. But of course, she kind of sort of may not have a choice, at least at this point. Mm-hmm. And then when she walks out, Pamela gives this little smirk. I was like, you really think you got this woman in a bind? Have you not? You really have not met Yumiko.
I was just going to say, you never met her before.
Mm-mm. You have not met. See, you're used to seeing the cleaned up version, the version that came into the Commonwealth and became, slipped right back into her lawyer self. Mm-hmm. But you didn't pay attention and you never met the Yumiko that got there to the commonplace in the first place. You didn't meet the Yumiko that we met when she first came on with mm-hmm. her group and became part of our group. I was just looking at this thing like,
well, Pamela's underestimating everyone because by themselves, independently, they are strong. And then they're strong together.
Oh, they're much
so you're trying to pit like, oh, you get to see your friends. She probably not worried about them because she knows. Yumiko knows, okay, they probably racked hell on them somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get back. We're going to get this together. Mm-hmm. We'll come back together.
Yeah. But let me tell y'all this. So the lady in the blue dress is Kayla's mother. I guess that was Sebastian's girlfriend when we first met his character. Did y'all, was it just me or was she so fake with her condolences? On a personal note, I just want to say how sorry I am about Sebastian.
She ain't give no damn. I'm glad my daughter away from that punk.
Thank you.
Right. Yes. That's kind of what I got too. But she was like, I can't imagine what you're going through. I was like, it sounds like she's saying it with a smile.
Yeah.
Like it's so facetious.
She's patronizing. Oh, you lost your kid. I'm so sorry.
Mine is still alive.
I can only imagine as a mother what you're going through.
And in the back of her mind, man, he deserved to die. About damn time.
That's why everybody was just standing around watching.
Right. Everybody just looked like, But yeah, so I'm gonna have to put on my militant hat for just a little bit. I noticed ain't no Black folks up in Pamela's office talking about are you taking care of this, living on the high life? That was just all I was gonna say about that. So anyway, let's move on.
Sips tea.
Huh?
Sips tea.
Well, I
ain't about to be no high life.
I have coffee today.
Ain't about to be no high life Negroes in there.
Probably because the Negroes in there like, we ain't finna follow up on this bullshit. Like, yeah, no.
Mercer is probably the highest ranking person in that place. Black person. And he's the captain of the military. Mm-hmm. So he is probably the highest level that you can attain.
Right. There. But the rest of them are probably like, no, we did something like this in the old world. We're not going to do this.
Right. Because we didn't see any at the party, did we? When they had that little fundraiser?
Mercer? Not really. It was a couple of chocolate chips sprinkled in there.
Okay.
Most of them are people.
Most of them was our people.
Connie and Kelly and I'm trying to think.
Well, they were working. They wasn't part of the elite. I'm talking about
you're right.
They were working.
You're right. But
they were working.
Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. Not necessarily because it may be discriminatory or on Pamela's part, but probably because they're like, we ain't finna follow this.
They is not just about to get in line.
They're like, no, we had enough of that prior to the fall. We're not about to do that again. Anyway, it was just something I just happened to notice. Anyway. So Yumiko
and the only people who have money is her friends. Because you got to think, even when there's a lottery, she picks the person. So basically, all the people who are a part of her life before, they're the ones with money.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she don't have that many chocolate friends in the past. So
yeah, she probably doesn't. Mm-hmm.
So you know, just saying.
So anyway, we see Connie got away for the moment anyway. When Yumiko goes to speak to her brother to kind of say, okay, look, Pamela is taking my friends. This is what's going on. This is what she's threatening me to do. Her brother tries to talk to her like, look, you may have to go ahead and prosecute him to save the rest of your friends. It's that whole, you know, sacrifice one for the many mentality. And again, Tommy has been in that community since the beginning, so he knows how things works there. So for him, he may not feel like there's any other alternative because he's never been around people like our people before. You know, he's part of that group. I mean, think about it. He was there almost 10 years, and they never even knew what he really was or who he really was in the outside world. So he's one of those people who's very good at kind of blending in, staying to the background, not starting any trouble because he didn't want to be found out. So he's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to say I used to work in a bakery and I'm going to be done. I mean, what are they going to do? Check his references?
Right. But I'm a little upset about that, though, because when people need help and knowing that you could be someone who can help someone and you just standing back like, they'll figure it out. I don't like that, but I'm just saying. I understand why he was like, I just want a simpler life. But dude, you have this experience and not a lot of people do have this experience. We need help.
Yeah, but I kind of understand his point too as well. You know, because it's kind of like he knows what the Commonwealth is, and he probably did that at first just because, okay, you know, I want to see what this place is about. And then once you see how the Commonwealth operates, he may not have wanted to be enslaved to them because if you think about it, that's kind of what they do to the people who have the skills. It's kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, and it's just like this with everywhere. It was the same with the saviors. It was the same at the hospital. It's kind of like, oh, you have a certain skill set that we need. So you are now indisposable to us, but we're going to provide you with everything you need to survive. And so you have to do, it's kind of like the whole feeling obligated.
Right.
You know,
and he will. And he will move up in statue, though. He would have been at that fundraiser party.
He was at the fundraiser party.
He was in the Oh, as just a baker?
He was with Yumiko.
Yeah, that was her date.
Oh, that was her date. Okay, no, I meant like by himself there. Okay, no.
Yeah, but you know, it's kind of like, yes, it's one of those things where you don't, you know, you have the skill to help someone, but at the same time, when you know people will use it as a way to control you, it's kind of like, it's that moral dilemma of who do I owe? I don't owe any of these people. I don't know any of these people. Should I make myself, you know, controlled by them just to help other people? If you are in this type of world, I can understand that kind of mindset. Like, no, I don't want anybody to control me, because then think about Dawn and the hospital and the way those doctors were. You had a doctor kill another doctor because he knew that other doctor had higher value than him because of the type of experience he had. And so it was one of those things where she would have been like, oh yeah, well, what do I need you for? I have another doctor. And it's one of those things where it's like, in this world, you kind of have to weigh what's the better choice. And unfortunately, in this kind of world, there really isn't a right answer. There isn't a wrong answer. Like, I don't blame him for not stepping forward, but I kind of wish he would have, but I don't blame him for not. You know, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like, there is no right way, there is no wrong way, because he could be helping people to the detriment of himself.
Right. And that really could be And that really could be it. It may not even be the power struggle. It could be like just the way the world turned. You don't want to be involved in death anymore, and you want a simpler life.
Because think about it.
And
yeah,
we don't know, like, when he was in the real world, like, maybe, you have doctors that lose patience and they're like, I'm not doing this no more.
Yeah, you walk away.
So we don't even know what, prior to the fall, we don't even know what his mindset was.
Well, we know that he didn't want to be a doctor in the first place.
And his parents was like pushing him. You're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. So we don't know what happened to where he's like, number one, he already didn't want to be a doctor. And then to say maybe he lost somebody, something happened, something went wrong. And he's like, well, I didn't want to do it anyway.
I mean, think about a few episodes ago.
That was his out.
Think about a few episodes ago. He lost a patient, and what did he do? He was drinking heavily.
Oh yeah, so
and I was like, stop. Yeah. So maybe he knew that if he got back into doctoring, that he would go back down that road again. He was like, you know what? I don't need that
because it doesn't make him happy, and baking does make him happy. However, it's still hard when you have a special skill set.
I know.
It is hard, though.
It is.
Because even Ezekiel came over and started a free clinic. You at least could have had the free clinic on the side. You still do bakery and, throw some people some antibiotics on the side, some penicillin.
But see, I think...
a free checkup in your apartment.
I think that worked for Ezekiel mainly because he is an outsider and people
don't care.
Like for him to do that and people to be able to come to him for that, I don't think that was such a hard thing. But for a Commonwealth person to go to, let's say, a free clinic that Tommy may have been doing while he was baking, and they would probably be like, wait, you live here. Why aren't you doing this more? You could be saving more people. And then you may have those people that go back to Pamela and say, hey, I know this guy works in the bakery, but you get what I'm saying?
And then Ezekiel flies under the radar. Anybody looking at him? Anybody paying attention?
Nobody.
Anybody, he flying under the radar. So if he got a little free clinic with a couple of little supply, it's not like, the patrols are like, oh, what's going on back in this zoo? No.
Well, the other thing too.
But if Tommy is missing for hours at a time at a free clinic, they're going to be like, okay, where's our doctor?
Well, I think the other thing with that is with Tommy, like I said, he's part of the Commonwealth. So if he's not contributing to the Commonwealth the way he's supposed to be, like if he has these skills as a doctor that he could be contributing, he's not. People who are in the Commonwealth and who are following the system, they may look at him as someone who is taking advantage of it. And that's why they may turn on him. Ezekiel, on the other hand, he benefited from it. He had his cancer removed and he's receiving treatments because somebody else was able to negotiate and get him in front of the line. So in his mind, he's like, okay, I have to pay this forward. And maybe the people, and again, the people that he's helping are people who were like him, who were kind of not that upper echelon of society, because yes, we have the rich people over here, but you also have the people in the Commonwealth, in the lower wards, as they call it, where you have the doctors, you have the soldiers, they all live in the nicer apartments and they get certain perks. They get paid more and stuff like that. Whereas the other people may live in the conditions that Daryl and the kids were in before he actually joined the Commonwealth soldiers. So these are people, I think, who would look at Ezekiel not as a person who is taking advantage, but as a person who, oh, okay, they helped and now he's helping us, because in any other, any other days or any other ways, we wouldn't be able to get the help from the Commonwealth. They would not pay attention to us. And unfortunately, I think if Tommy was one of the doctors there, it would kind of sort of be the same situation, because he would be so focused on doing what they have him doing there. He wouldn't be looking to the smaller people. And I don't think that's by design. It probably just how it works that way. Because like you said, if he goes missing for a couple hours, especially he's being a doctor, you can guarantee Pamela probably has people watching all of those people.
Right.
To make sure that they aren't doing anything. So yeah, Ezekiel flying under the radar. Pamela probably doesn't even really know who Ezekiel is.
No.
Right.
She couldn't even pick him out in the crowd.
I've with them. Like, hey, I'm Pamela. You know,
she'll probably just be like, oh, that's one of the new people. But other than that, it's not like she had a. Yeah, it's not like she had a meet and greet with them. Oh, welcome to the Commonwealth. I'm the governor, blah, 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 blah. I mean, she didn't even know who Carol was when Carol brought her son to her.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Her question was like, who are you? Which that could have been by Carol's design. But at the same time, still, Pamela, you didn't even know who Tyler was. You didn't know who one of your guards.
You didn't know who nobody was.
Yeah.
If you're not in the higher ward or the upper,
she's not paying attention.
She ain't paying no attention.
And that's going to be her downfall.
Doctor,
right.
Somebody with a higher status, doctor, lawyer. Because had Yumiko not been a lawyer, she'd have been down with the rest of them.
Right. She wouldn't know who she was either. So she gets the report.
And the only reason she know who Connie and Kelly are is because Connie took her down before the fall. So that's the only reason she know who Connie is. And she probably surprised Connie ass made it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But she don't know none of them other people. No. She don't even know Princess and Mercer took her. So like,
right.
She gets the reports. She gets the reports, and she's only looking at the ones that benefits her. So they probably have a star next to their name and what their career was, and that's it. Yeah. All those other names are like, oh, they're just a name on the list. Oh, that's our immigration list.
But she don't talk about the baker who run the record store and the zoo, the petting zoo. She don't give a shit about none of that.
Nothing.
Because have you ever seen her at the ice cream shop at the record store?
No.
In any of these places, she don't give no.
No, she sent Max to get ice cream. Remember?
Right. She doesn't need.
So she ain't gonna know who nobody is.
Which is, I feel like that's gonna be her downfall. Now, unfortunately, because she has people who work for her, who did the intake and all that other stuff, they can readily identify who our people are. Mm-hmm. So I guess in some sense, she really doesn't need to know who they are because she has lackeys who do that sort of thing for her, and then she can keep her hands clean. You know what I'm saying? She can keep
her hands ain't clean.
Oh, we already know this,
right? She gives the orders.
Everything. Her hands are in everything.
Right. Just like, okay, we already know Lance is locked up at this point. So this person who was after Kelly, we already know that's Pamela's people. The people who came after Carol, the people who took Zeke and took Rosita and went after Daryl, those are Pamela's people. Lance is locked up right now.
Yeah.
So he is currently off the playing table.
His person got shot in the head and thrown in the room with him.
Right. And they were all part, I call them the CIA. They were all part of the CIA.
The Commonwealth Intelligence Agency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, now you really start thinking, okay, Pamela does know about more things than she lets on, but she still don't know our people. So she's just... her underestimating our people, her not even paying attention, getting a chance to know them, whatever, looking at them like, oh, they're immigrants. I mean, that's what they call it. They call it immigration policy. Oh, they're immigrants. I'm not paying them any attention. That's going to end up being her downfall in the end. That's what's going to end up hurting her because you didn't take the time to find out who these people are. You just let a whole group, a whole community into your city. And you trusted Lance to kind of, fill them out and check into who they are and blah, blah, blah. But just like Tommy, our people could have lied. How are you going to check? There's no internet. And unless that person was a really, really prominent person like Connie was a reporter. She was apparently a huge journalist. So you might find some background on Connie. You're not going to find background on Carol. Carol was a housewife.
Or
we don't know what Daryl did before. Yumiko, they might have been able to get something. She was an attorney, but again, unless she handled like some really, really big national cases, you wouldn't find much about her either. Right. Depending on where she was in the country before that. So it's not like you can go and do a thorough background check on these people. These people could have lied and told you anything. And that's going to be your downfall because you don't know who the people are that's within your walls. Anyway, we'll come back to Pamela. We'll come back to her because we got to go to the other part. We got to get to the Carol Daryl stuff. Because again, here's where we say, don't underestimate Carol. Because when they put together a plan that they need to rescue their people, they mention Mercer as a person who can help them. And then Carol's like, well, there is one other person. And of course, they're talking about Lance. Lance is locked up, though. So how are we going to get to them?
They don't care. They
Carol and Daryl that we're talking about. And they only have 2 guards down there in, guarding Lance, which I guess under normal circumstances, that would have been sufficient.
But it's not enough.
Daryl that we're talking about. So
that's for Karen and Daryl.
Yeah, they quickly take out these 2.
Hell, remember these are 2 that they was just chasing. Oh, it was Maggie, but Daryl and Maggie chasing through the streets. And how many officers did you have then? And you still couldn't catch them. Them 2 people. Oh, police! You may as well just gave them the keys.
Again, they underestimated.
But here go the key. Just go let them out.
Right. So anyway, they do get the keys off one of the guards, and they come into Lance's cell. And to say that it's a mess is an understatement. There is blood and body parts everywhere. So I guess Lance made a very good. He did a very good job of chopping Calhoun up for Walker Sebastian, but it has seemingly done something to his mind, because when they come into the cell, they find him crouched and he's looking at his coin and he's twisting it and he's muttering to himself. And he's saying, there's always a path, there's always a path, there's always a path. And you have Walker Sebastian on the floor, and he's actually chained to the floor. And I forgot about that when I saw the last episode. There's actually a thing on the ground where they chain him to the floor. So I was like, how many people were y'all expecting to chain to one spot? Because they had to have already been there, which is disturbing in and of itself. Like, you have this big cell, but you feel the need to chain a person down. Now, whether it's a walker or a person, doesn't matter. You feel the need to chain a person just to one spot. But anyway, so that's what they did to Sebastian to make sure, I guess, that he wouldn't get to Lance. But still, that can be unnerving for somebody. You're stuck in a cell with a walker. What happens if that walker gets free? I mean, we know the chain is not going to break, but body parts come apart all the time on this show.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
If he really wanted to, he gonna break that leg off to get to.
Right. And so of course,
it's not a good deterrent for no walker.
Right. And of course, at this point, Lance is not thinking that he can just take that machete and kill Sebastian, because if he does that, then he's stuck in that hole forever, or Pamela will come and kill him. And I think Lance likes being on the side of the living. So he's just sitting there, just kind of going through his motions. And even when Daryl picks him up and threatens him, he's kind of like there, lost in his own mind. It isn't until Carol speaks to him, and she was like, look, you can either tell us where our people are, or we're going to kill you. And again, he's the only person in the Commonwealth, I feel, who has seen Carol for what she really is. And I think that scares him, because he looks at her and he kind of clears up. And also, it's one of those things where he's like, okay, if anybody's going to get me out, it's going to be her. So let me use this to my advantage. I think that's kind of what he did, because he was like, I can show you. Like, I'm not going to tell you, I can show you. And they're like, what? We got to let you out? No, we don't want to let you out. But of course, they need to go find their people. They need to go find the kids. So they let him out. But he has an ankle monitor. And he was like, yeah, it'll go off as soon as I leave the cell. And Carol's like, your ass better be ready to run. And he's like, before we leave, I need to do something. Now, we didn't know what he did until later on in the episode. But man, let me tell you, when we finally saw it, and I'm just going to put it here because Pamela gets a call. She's told that Lance has escaped, and she walks into the cell, and she looks towards where Lance was, and she's upset. Then she looks towards where Sebastian is, and you see her face change, and she starts crying because Lance has literally kicked in Sebastian's head, flattened it. Like this thing was like this.
Pancakes.
Brains everywhere. And that close-up that they did when they showed the coin, I was like, y'all, I didn't need that much detail. I did not need that much detail. That shit looked gross. That shit looked gross.
It did.
But the crazy thing is, she cried more over the death of Walker Sebastian than she did over actual Sebastian when he died. What does that say to you?
Cuckoo. For Cocoa Puffs.
Like, what was it she told Kayla's mother? She was like, well, Sebastian will always be with me. Apparently not, bitch.
Yeah. She thought.
But I was like, you didn't even mourn over your actual son with this many tears. Like, you had the watery eyes, you had the shaky voice, but you actually cried when you saw that this dead version of your son is gone. I was like, yeah, you ain't wrapped too tight.
He was like the governor with Penny.
But see, like I think that was
that little piece of your baby.
And I understand that, but I think the difference for me with that is I really feel like the governor actually loved Penny, and that was why he didn't want to let her go.
That's true. He did love the
right. I feel like with this governor, with Pamela, I feel like yes, she loved her son, but she was more concerned about her power, her legacy, her father's legacy, and him fulfilling that than she was about the actual person. Because if you are a mother and you see the kind of bullshit that your son is doing, if you care about your child, you step in and you try to correct all of that. But I don't know, maybe she thought, okay, if he's going in politics, he's going to need that kind of nature. Maybe that's what she thought. But either way it goes, I never felt like she really cared about her son.
Okay, so let's go back to before this all occurred. If we were in real lifetime, he would be the same, and their relationship would be the same. Okay, he will be the type that she will get a phone call that he had. They found a dead girl in his car. And he's like, that wasn't me. I mean, we were drinking and I passed out. So I don't know. Somebody's trying to get us. Yep. And she's going to cover it up and all those things. So it doesn't even matter that we're in the Commonwealth and what we have with the Walkers again. That would be the type of parent she was always going to be.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that's the difference between her and like the governor. Because again, like I said, I feel like he loved his daughter and that's why he had a hard time letting go.
Yeah, definitely.
But, well, Sebastian will no longer be with you. Rest in peace for the second time, Sebastian.
Oh, I'm so sorry your Walker son died. It's nothing like losing a Walker kid. I really hope, that you're okay.
So facetious. But anyway, so yeah, they get Lance out. And of course, the alarm goes off. So here we are. We have some soldiers. They get into a firefight. Now, what ends up happening is Daryl stays behind to kind of give Carol and Lance some time to get out because, again, he's thinking about the kids and their people. We need to get them. We can't get to them if all of us get shot or if all of us get caught. So you two go and do this, and I will buy us some time. And you see, Carol doesn't want to leave him behind. But again, I mean, this ain't the first rodeo for them.
Right.
They know, okay, you know what? Sometimes you have to divide and conquer in order to get things accomplished. And we got to go find these kids. And we got to go find our people so we can come back and whoop this bitch's ass.
She got to die.
I'm telling you, Pamela is she's going to be the bitch to me for the rest of this season because that's what she's like clearly showing herself to be. And you get to, and you see that a little bit more. She has this press conference where she's announcing to people that Yumiko is going to prosecute Eugene. And one of the things that you find out after Yumiko and Connie meet, Connie wants to go and follow the guy who was following her because she stabbed him in the leg. She knew he was going to come to the hospital, so she followed him. Yumiko just happened to be there, and that's how they met up. So Yumiko is like, okay, I'll go follow him, see where he goes, see if I can find our friends, because Kelly is also one of the people that were taken. So basically everybody has been taken at this point, you know, and Yumiko is walking through the square following this guy. And I'm sitting here looking at her like, Yumiko, there's a reason why you're a lawyer and not a spy. If you ain't the most obvious person,
you walking around like this.
And then when he turns around, when he kind of appears and sees her and she looks at him, she starts looking again. But then when she walks past him, she just goes, and she keeps walking. I'm like, if you wanted to play that off, you should have still been looking like you were looking for somebody. So anyway, yeah, Pamela sent him because when she gets to the press conference, Pamela makes this smart ass remark. So how was your walk in the square today? I was like, you bitch. I'm telling y'all, she's gonna be the bitch for the rest of this season. I feel like it. She's gonna be the bitch. But anyway, Yumiko gets up there and she gives this speech. And the speech starts off nice enough. You know, she talks about how you know, she was part of a community that was kind of struggling, and she got to the Commonwealth and she was given this position and how she's thankful. And, you know, she gives this little thank you to her brother, you know, basically for, you know, always wanting the best for her and stuff. And at that point, when she did that, I was like, yeah, she's about to turn. She's about to turn.
Yep. She let him know.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, bruh.
Love you, bro, but I got to do me. And that's when she announces, and it's so fun. Oh, this is what I think also prompted her. So as her and Pamela are going back and forth, having this little, you know, sarcastic exchange, and Pamela gives her the speech that she's supposed to say word for word. She's walking past, and the guard who is standing next to Pamela gets a report about Dixon, Pelletier, and Hornsby all escaping. And Yumiko hears that. And I think in her mind, that signals, okay, they're trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because again, if Daryl and Carol are out, oh, you know what? Yeah, all we got to do is just go find them and we'll be good. We'll be good. So I think when she hears that, that kind of makes up her mind like, okay, you know what? Yep, this is what I'm about to do. So she announces, you know, my intent to defend Eugene Porter against the false allegations. He is an innocent man. He's being set up, blah, blah, blah. And we look forward to our day in court. And she walks off and she looks at Pamela. She was like, here's your speech, and throws it on the floor and walks out. I was like,
I love it.
I love our people.
So satisfying.
Yes.
I love our people.
Like
Pamela is sitting there looking like
you put glue over a barrel.
Right. Because she's looking like, I can't believe she did this. And in front of everybody.
And did.
In front of everybody. Your little fancy people who was in your office this morning were on the front seat looking like, the audacity.
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe. But you know what? Y'all knew Yumiko wasn't with the shits when she came into the office, punched the guard, and was like, you need to say goodbye to your guests. Yumiko wasn't with the shits then. She ain't with the shits now.
But you know what it is? They always know, no matter what community we're at, no matter where we are, they always underestimate them. No matter what. It don't matter. You see the appearance of these people like, oh, they ain't nothing. You don't realize what everybody have been through.
And what they have done.
And what they have done. Like you don't realize. So you thinking you just gonna run over and tell me what to do and I'm gonna conform. They wouldn't conform to Negan. After he done bashed people's head, and you think they conforming to you?
Right.
You're okay.
But again, she doesn't really know all of that.
Nope.
No, I'm just saying we know as viewers, like,
yeah,
they're not going for that.
Right.
I don't give a damn what you dangle in front of them. Ain't what Rick say in the train car, they don't know who they fucking with. They don't know who they fucking with.
You know what? Every time an episode ends, that's all I can think in my head is like, they don't know what they're fucking with. They don't know what they're fucking with.
And this group, you can't put them in a corner either.
Nope.
Don't fuck with their kids. And don't fuck with them.
Right.
Like, kids is probably number one on the list. Once you start fucking with them, you got to die.
They burn it all down.
All these uncles and aunties that these children have,
who have raised them. They done had Judith since Carl ripped her out of her mama's stomach. Do you think they finna let something happen to her? And you done kidnapped her? Nah. She another person who been there since season 1.
Technically speaking, yes.
Yeah, she was there.
She was there.
She was there.
But yeah, anyway, let's go back to the Lance and Carol and Daryl stuff, because this is the biggest thing that's going on in this episode for me. So of course, Carol and Lance, they get outside the wall, and Lance is like, the way he starts talking in this episode, it's almost like you really want to think that he was faking the whole thing that he was doing. Like, yeah, he may have been traumatized for a little bit, but you're outside now and you are going right back to the same old thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and trying to be sympathetic but manipulative at the same time.
I really hope he makes it out.
I really hope Dixon makes it out. You were right to leave him behind. First of all, you don't talk to Carol.
Never say that to her.
Because when he
that is the wrong thing to say.
And she pulled that gun up, I was like, Lance, you about to get shot in the face. You talking about Daryl. You talking about Daryl.
Really hope he makes it out.
But then it made me mad because you're talking to her like you're smarter than she is. And I don't like that.
Again, I still
underestimating.
He knows
Carol.
her, but he's still underestimating her, right? Because, you know, and he's right. He was like, who else could, he was like, you're smarter than most people give you credit for. Who else could have come in and done what you did? So why the fuck are you talking to her like she an idiot?
Right. And like, you gonna convince her to change or do something. I didn't care for it because I'm like, dude, no. This is not gonna work.
In
any way, shape, or form.
Right. So anyway, they go into this underground, I guess it's like some kind of cavern or something where, you know, there's walkers there. They're in the dark. And it's weird because when you get down there and, you know, as they're walking, they see, I guess, walker skin on something there. And I was like, wait.
Like a spider web.
Right. Like, who did this? There had to have been a person who did that. Who took off a walker skin and just threw it to the side.
Alpha.
This is what... I think, honestly, if Alpha had come across the Commonwealth, she wouldn't have lasted because they would have been like, this is what you do. Okay, yeah, let's just kill all y'all and be done with it. The Whispers wouldn't have fared well against the Commonwealth. They wouldn't have. But as they're down there, now here's the thing. You're supposed to be hiding from these soldiers. You see that there's walker skin right there. So you know there are walkers around. Lance, shut the fuck up. Why are you talking so much? Why are you talking so much? It's almost like he wanted to be caught. Or like he was trying to get the walkers to come so that Carol would have to fight them, which they ended up doing because the walkers came. They got him first. They grabbed his ankle. He's struggling. Then Carol has to struggle. He manages to get away. Now, I will say this. He sat there, he grabbed the flashlight, he he was holding it on her so she could see what she was doing. So yes, thank you for that. But still, you could have kept.
I don't think so. That's not what I got from that. Because when she dropped the flashlight, before he picked it up, she's struggling with a walker. Where he at? He ain't tried to push it or nothing.
That's what I was thinking.
Once the flashlight picked up, he up here, shining the light down on her. Oh, I figured you had. No! Like, you ain't help. You thought that walker was going to get me and your ass was going to get up out of here. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
He is a coward.
Yeah, but he was trying to get. He thought Carol was going to die. He didn't think she was
probably. Mm-hmm. Yep. But again, underestimating.
You better put doing that. Because once she got the flashlight back and he shined the light, she looking at him like, motherfucker. Really?
Right. Now, here's the interesting thing. So I think we're going to go ahead and finish talking about them just to get it out the way. So when they get out and he's talking about where they can go to find their friends, they get cornered by some Commonwealth soldiers, you know, and these Commonwealth soldiers are about to radio back like, hey, go ahead and radio back to camp. Tell them that we found them, but that they resisted. And so we had to put them down. So they're about to kill Lance and Carol, not knowing that Daryl has hitched a ride up under the Jeep.
Yeah, when he fell off that goddamn truck, I said, okay.
MacGyver.
Right.
Oh, that's what we doing? Okay, we holding on to the bottom of trucks.
Hey, y'all not about to keep him from Carol.
Absolutely not. Okay. So I guess if I needed to hold on to the bottom of the truck to get to my best friend, I'm
gonna do it. Especially when she was left with that snarky little shit. Mm-hmm. And Daryl already doesn't like Lance.
Nope, he wants to kill him.
So
at all.
He's just like, oh no, let me go on ahead and handle this. And of course, when you hear, oh yeah, tell them we had to put them down, Daryl's like, oh no, hell you ain't. He gets off the Jeep, he shoots them all. And then, you know, they ask Lance, okay, look, so what are we doing? How are we doing this? That's when Lance mentions that there's a motherfucking train in the Commonwealth. A train. A working train. And they're like, a train? He was like, yeah, it's part of the bigger plan of the Commonwealth, you know, to expand. I'm going to say it again. You cannot tell me that the CRM is not going to be involved in this some way, somehow. I realize we're getting to the end of the series. I realize that. But, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially with the fact that we have a Daryl spinoff, we have a Rick and Michonne spinoff coming, and we have the Maggie and Negan spinoff. We may be done with the main show, but I don't think we are done seeing most of our characters. We may see them in other iterations. We may see them, some of them may pop up in some of these spinoffs. There probably will be other spinoffs later down the line, but something tells me that they are just ending this particular story and there's a bigger picture out there. And you cannot tell me, especially you have a working train. You talk about expanding and the CRM has got to be involved in some way. Again, right. I've said it before, you cannot have a community of 50,000 people and not be on the CRM's radar. Maybe the CRM is looking at them like, okay, they're not big enough to threaten us. Maybe it's because they're in a whole other part of the country. Like we know the CRM was mostly up in the north of the country. They're up in New York. They're in Omaha. They're in Portland. They're not really south. So maybe they're just kind of like, oh, okay, we'll just kind of keep an eye on them and see what's going on. And again, like I said, maybe Lance was a spy. I think Casey and I talked about this way back. Maybe Lance is a spy, or maybe Lance has some kind of connection to them and is just kind of like playing both sides. But you can't tell me that there is something more going on, because the Commonwealth cannot be that well resourced without outside help. There is no way. There's no way.
What outside source would they need? It ain't like, because even the CRM wasn't using money, not real money.
They weren't using money, but to have a fully working and staffed hospital with antibiotics and medicines and supplies.
Yeah, because the CRM had all the scientists.
And yeah, and they don't scavenge that much in the Commonwealth. Not that we see.
No, they got.
So they have to be getting that from outside. They have to be. So yeah,
they have some spies inside. They have some spies inside the wall.
The CRM.
Oh, they
absolutely.
do. They do. And that's where Mac's getting her fresh wigs from too.
And the double matching outfits.
Let me tell you, after I posted the last episode, we were talking about the wigs. Someone from the Squawking Dead podcast was listening to the episode, and they commented. They were like, "I'm hollering about y'all's wig conversation." Oh my goodness! But I mean, like I said, got to be coming from somewhere. But I will say this too. People were saying, as far as Carol and Daryl in this scene when Daryl shows up and he kind of saves them, when they were looking at each other, you know, the Carol shippers, they were like, okay, they totally should have kissed right there. Those of us who don't ship them, I was like, but that should have been a hug. That should have been a, oh my God, I'm glad you're all right.
Right.
But there's
form
still,
of acknowledgement.
Right, but there's still some kind of tension between them. I need y'all to hurry up and fix that shit. I need y'all to be completely on par with each other and fix this shit.
That was probably one of the things that was going to be resolved in their show.
No, they got to resolve that before we end this.
You know how many things need to be? How long is the final episode? An hour. It's a whole lot of things going to be resolved.
It's supposed to be like an hour and 20 minutes with commercials.
They got to come out swinging in that final episode.
Oh,
like you don't have no space to let nothing go.
Right.
We're going to see though. Anyway, carry on.
Anyway. So yeah, like I said, they find out that there's a train and that, you know, this is how they're going to find their people. And that's when Daryl gives Lance the heads up that, oh, okay, this is how we gonna find our people. You're not going with us.
Right.
And Lance is like, but how are you gonna find them without me? What are you gonna do? And Daryl was like, well, you just told us there's a train. That's all we gotta do is follow the train. I mean, it's not like it's 50 million trains and we don't know which one to follow.
That's
right.
It's one train.
Right. We should be able to do that easily enough. You know, we got enough. We got two brain cells that rub together, and we can get this done. And
without you,
right? And he's just sitting there like, but what am I supposed to do? I can't survive. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And Carol's like, you can run. She's just looking at him like, you can go. You ain't got to stay here. What is it? You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the
hell up out of here.
And then he says, run where?
We don't care.
I mean, somewhere.
Go to the poppy farm. Live your best life high. Or something. You're not finna be around us.
We're letting you have freedom.
Right.
I mean, we
don't trust you.
In that goddamn cell.
Right. We help you escape your cell. We got what we needed. And we're giving you an opportunity to run. To go anywhere where you are not going to be a captive, where you're not going to be threatened. Just go somewhere. I mean, I'm sure a man like you has resources. You know, I'm sure you've been communicating with people outside of the Commonwealth. Go find some of them. You're a resourceful guy.
Well, hell, he killed. I mean, Pamela killed his right-hand man. What's Shira?
You know, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Where is she?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe she got killed and they thought she wasn't worth whatever it was. Like, oh yeah, let's get Calhoun to, I don't know. Because I feel like if she was captured by Pamela people, she probably would have met the same fate because of the fact that she was part of the reason that Sebastian ended up dead. They could be saving her for something else. Maybe Pamela decided, oh, okay, that's going to be Sebastian's second meal, and now he'll never get to have.
Or they maybe don't know she was involved.
I seriously doubt that, because literally anytime you saw Shira, Calhoun was around. And if you think about it, when Eugene made that big stink about Stephanie becoming missing, he literally gave them the description of Calhoun. So anybody, like I said, I think Pamela knew more than she was letting on when it came to Lance and his activities. So she probably knows some of the people who are on Lance's payroll.
Yeah, definitely.
She had to, because other than that, how would they have gotten Calhoun? Right. Either she knew, or somebody in Lance's Lance's group is not as loyal, and they were like, hey, so let me tell you about the two people who killed all the workers, True. But anyway, Lance, he's upset, but he turns around and he starts doing this slow walk. And I was like,
the mosey.
I already knew. I was like, yeah, he finna turn around and try to do something, and he gonna end up with a foot in his ass. Well, he walked past the Jeep, he grabbed a gun and turned around and didn't end up with a foot in his ass, but an arrow to the neck. Carol is quick on the draw, and she shoots Lance in the neck.
And she told you to run.
She told you to run.
Yes, I told you to run.
Yeah, right. Like, you're gonna stop underestimating us. And I bet you as soon as he started doing that slow walk, they showed us that camera shot of Carol's face, and then they went back to Lance and that slow walk. I'm sure as soon as he turned around and kept on walking, Carol was already ready.
Hell yeah.
Just in case.
She was. If I went back to look, and she had the arrow already in her bow. So she was just, because she already knew. I mean, you know him. You knew he wasn't just going to run. He's going to do something.
And he's not going to go out without a bang. I'm going to try to get you.
Right.
Y'all don't see the vision? You don't see it? You don't see what this could be? Somebody has to take the what does it take the void that's coming? Somebody needs
because that's the other thing. He was trying to talk to Carol about, okay, so what's going to happen to the Commonwealth after Pamela falls? He was trying to get her to say she was going to be the leader of the Commonwealth. And you know what? Now that I sit here and think about it, that's probably where they're going to leave her character and why she's not going to be in the spinoff. They're probably going to make her the leader of the Commonwealth. Or somewhere in that. I don't know if I see Carol being an actual leader. I don't know if she would want that responsibility over all those people.
She wouldn't.
But
unless she did it with Ezekiel. Remember, she ran the kingdom. It was her and him.
Ezekiel is talking about staying behind.
He ain't leaving.
So you know what? That's my headcanon now until the finale. Carol and Ezekiel are going to leave the Commonwealth. Okay, yeah, I can do with that.
But that is acceptable.
I like that. And yep, I'm looking at it in the background. You're right. She does have an arrow in the bow.
Yeah, it's already there.
But she didn't have an arrow in the bow when they first started this scene. So at some point while they're talking, she done reached up. She's like, oh, let me get ready for this motherfucker. Because I already know what he's about to do.
He on bullshit.
Right. He's full of pride. He's going to turn around. He's going to try to shoot us. He's going to try to do something. So
because he's a backstabber.
But here's my
likelihood of him being easy and just, oh, y'all got me. Okay, I'm all right.
But here's my question. Yeah, you grabbing that gun and you turn around, but there's two of them. Two of the best fighters in our group. What did you really think you were going to accomplish there? What did you really think you were going to accomplish?
If you get one.
That's what he thought. He was going to get Daryl. He thought he was going to get Daryl.
Yeah. But instead he got a neck tattoo. They put it right here.
So yeah, she shoots him in the neck. He falls. They walk past him. Carol just kind of looks at him. They get in the Jeep and they take off. And he's sitting there drowning in his own blood.
Gurgling and shit.
And I was like,
They don't even kill him so he won't be a walker. They're like, nah, he's gonna be a walker.
Right. Right.
I'll let you,
that means boy. No respect. They have no respect for him. None. They're like, nah, you're gonna be a walker.
Not a bit. And at first when I was looking at that, I was like, I'm kind of upset because I feel like there was so much more they could have done with the character, but at the same time, we don't need nobody else to die. And you got a habit of doing some, no. I was like, okay, I think I'm good with him being dead.
Absolutely. He should have died long ago.
Definitely.
But the funny thing is,
he should have died when he did Eugene the way he did Eugene. I said it. You know that man was a virgin, and you had this fake Stephanie go and steal his man's virginity, and then snatched her away. So he heartbroken, running through the goddamn Commonwealth.
That was devastating.
You made him burn his manuscript.
Yeah,
you deserve that.
Yeah, he did. But the funny thing about this though is that we went to the camp a few weeks ago, and both Tail Rap Olsen and Josh were there, and it's so weird because they play these asshole characters on the show, and they are the nicest guys. Like
funny
and funny. Yes, it was. It was just. It's so jarring sometimes when you look at these people, and of course we know they're acting, so we know they're probably not like this in real life. But when you see them being complete polar opposites to the people that they portray, it's just one of those things where it's just like, I don't even know how you do it. Like, how do you get so good at playing an asshole?
Being around them,
yeah, but. At the end of the episode, we kind of see, there's a bus and there's a lot of people and there's Commonwealth soldiers, and what they've done is they're drugging the people, and we see like they show us a camera shot through one of the burlap sacks that's on their heads, and it's King Ezekiel, and he's kind of looking around and he's panicking, and then they inject something in his neck and he passes out. And then the last shot we see is of a caravan, and it's basically several army trucks. There's a bus, and it's taking all of these people somewhere. So I'm assuming all of our people are on this bus. I didn't see Dog, however, and Daryl said that they even took Dog. I said the writers must have known. People were like, where the fuck is Dog? Because we've been asking about Dog for like, where is he? So apparently they took Dog too. What they did with him, I don't know, but I don't think he was on the bus.
He may be with the kids. He may be with the kids.
You know what? Because I don't think, because everybody who was on the bus, it looked like they were adults.
Right.
And so that would have made sense anyway for them to separate the adults and the kids, because if you have the kids on the bus with the adults may, I would say they may feel a little more emboldened to try to escape to save the kids. But if you don't know where the kids are, you're going to be more likely to do what you're told in order to ensure their safety, since you're not there physically to protect them. So I don't know. They better not touch a hair on the children, on their heads. But the other thing is, we don't know where Maggie is, because the last time she said she was going to Hilltop. So I'm wondering, did she get away before all of this happened or not? We don't know. And then I'm still sitting here like, okay, so we know Jerry is gone, Aaron is gone, Elijah, Lydia. Those four are gone. We don't know where. Okay, we know Rosita was taken, but we don't know about Gabriel, because remember, Gabriel wasn't in the apartment with Rosita.
Nope.
So I'm assuming that he had Coco and that they were supposed to meet wherever they were supposed to meet. So I don't know if that was where Daryl was, is where they were all supposed to meet. Again, they're out in the open, and it's kind of like the Commonwealth and Pamela would have known they were there. So I don't know why they would have still been planning to meet there. I don't know. That's a little bit murky for me.
Yeah, because it made it seem like they didn't know that they were enemies of the state and they were planning on just leaving because she told them they could leave. And they were getting all their things together to leave. But they said their goodbyes.
But the announcement was being made while they were in the church hiding Eugene, because that was one of the reasons why they were kind of being secretive as far as how they were trying to get in and out. Because
I thought dealing with Eugene, but I'm thinking I'm trying to help out this situation. I'm thinking they didn't hear the announcement.
They heard it. Because I think even
they wasn't hiding. They walking around.
Right. I guess they were like, okay, well, we already told you we don't have nothing to do with it. And then I guess maybe they figured they were okay. Maybe they figured they were safer because of the fact that at this point Eugene is in custody.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, we're hiding him. So maybe that's why they were kind of like, okay, you know what? We're finna leave. Maybe even to give it that, I don't know, give it that appearance like, okay, yeah, y'all got him. We finna go ahead and go.
Because remember, they were sneaking out. And if they snuck out, the same way they got Lance out, they could have snuck back in and got Eugene out. Because he still had to go through the whole trial. So it was still, he was basically safe where he was for the moment.
Yeah.
So if we can get the kids out, get the kids to a safe place, we can then figure out how to get back in here.
Okay.
And get Eugene.
Right. And they were enemies of the state at that point because, again, they couldn't find Eugene. So they're like, they must be holding him. But now he's in custody. They all thinking, okay, everyone is straight. They're not looking for Eugene. They got Eugene.
Right. Okay. Well, I do know that if you look at the promo for next week, we do see Ezekiel. You do see Kelly being taken somewhere with the rest of them. And I'm just like, there's a lot going on in the promo for next week. We see that apparently Herschel has been taken. Maggie is not taken, or I don't know how that works, because again, this is promo, so we don't know exactly what the situation is. But I'm just like, okay, if y'all took Herschel, and it looks like from the way it looked like kind of like a flashback or a memory, like Maggie was there. They were trying to take her and they took him. So if this is what y'all decided to do, if this is what y'all woke up and decided to do, separate Maggie from Herschel, just like y'all separated the rest, but you actually forced Herschel out of his mother's arms, I can tell you right now, Maggie is not with the shits. Period. Lance put his hands on Herschel and she had all of Hilltop about ready to shoot on all the Commonwealth soldiers. So you've already made an enemy out of Carol and Daryl. Now you're about to add Maggie to the mix. Pamela needs to count her days because they are coming for that ass. And I'm here for it.
You know, people don't play about their kids. Like, that's just the whole thing. You want to leverage different things, and I'm going to use this against you. You can use whatever you want in the world. But when you start using these people's children, they give no fucks at that point. I don't give a shit what you got. I don't care what army you got. I don't care none of that. You have taken my child. So this takes precedent over whatever you got going on. But y'all always want to threaten. Remember what happened when what's his name, Sebastian, threatened their kids just to go into the house to get the money. Like, quit fucking with these people kids. Like, that's the main. That's the thing. Fear fucking with these kids. That's what it should be called. Because every time somebody threatens the kid, that's the end of you. That is the end of you. You may not get it right then.
But you're gonna get it.
It's coming. Quit fucking with these people kids.
I'm telling you, and I don't know what it's going to take for Pamela to be like, okay, you know what? These people are not the ones to fuck with. Maybe when she realizes that Lance is dead, like y'all saved him and then killed him. Oh, y'all really don't give a shit. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it's going to be. But I can tell you now, like Rick said, they fucking with the wrong people. They are. Did we get an F-bomb in this episode? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Okay. I thought we were going to get an F-bomb in every single episode. But, okay, so now we're down to four episodes. Ooh. They got a lot to wrap up.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. That's why I kind of like what you said earlier about it's just wrapping up this part of the story, and the story continues. It's just that we just won't see any more of it.
Or we may see it in
parts
other,
of it.
Yeah, we may see it in other shows
or hear about it.
Yeah, because I don't think these 3 spinoffs that's coming out this year, or excuse me, next year, I don't think those are the only spinoffs that we're gonna have, because from what I understand, they have TWDU content planned through at least 2025. So again, we may still see some of these characters in other properties, and then just like Casey and I talked, we really want to see what happened to the kids in the world beyond, and those kids were getting ready.
I think they're going to. They have to. They gave us those 3 spinoffs because the questions would have been, So I'm sure there may be more that we don't know about. But of course, people ask the main, what's going on with Rick and Michonne? Y'all can't kill off Daryl, so what happens? So we know and Maggie and Negan, those characters, you can't just leave. There's still so much of their story left. So I know we'll get those, but I'm sure there are other things that are going to spin off, because unless you plan on killing everybody, you're going to have questions.
Yeah. Because you left World Beyond way too open-ended. You have some of them going to Portland to warn them about the CRM. You have the ones that remain behind in New York, still trying to work on a cure. That's too open-ended for the way that story is. Then you give us that huge mid-scene credit at the end of World Beyond with the scientist in France who dies and reanimates and is kind of sort of aware of what what's happened, and like I said, there's too much stuff for them to wrap up here that I don't feel like they're going to do it, and I think it's going to lead into other things. Now, I still have no idea why they decided to end the show as opposed to doing a 12th season. I don't think that's actually been made public. I don't know why. We just know that it was a surprise to the cast too.
Oh, was it?
That the 11th season was going to be the last. Yeah, a lot of them said they were shocked.
Because they could have kept going, and slowly the main characters that, we have grown to love can venture out, but we still have this world. So, yeah, we could have went into, okay, who takes over the Commonwealth once they kill Pamela.
Right. So,
and what may happen in one of the other shows, they'll reference, remember back when we was in the Commonwealth?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it can be.
Absolutely.
Because you have to, we know that there's other survivors in other places, so we could have just start pulling from them. We didn't definitely need to end it. So,
yeah. So, like I said, I think this is just the end for The Walking Dead as far as the flagship show. I think we're going to get a lot more spinoffs that deal with some of these characters and then venturing out into the world, because we've only seen a small portion of the United States. I like the fact that they're going to France for Daryl's, because we haven't really seen what this has been like in other countries except for Mexico with Fear the Walking Dead. But Mexico and and the States, we're all on the same continent, so it's very highly likely that whatever's happening in one place is going to happen in another, because we are connected. Our borders are connected, so it's not like Mexico is across the sea and maybe this is only contained to the United States. So it's easy to explain that, like, that's the reason why Mexico has it, but we don't know if the other continents are dealing with the same thing. It could be that they were like, so this is what's going on over there in the States. Yeah, we don't give a fuck about them anyway. We're going to let them deal with that, because there are a lot of countries that I mean, let's face it, they really don't care about the United States. So they could have been like,
especially now that the world done failed.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably like, oh, superpower no more. Oh yeah, we're gonna let y'all sit over there and deal with that. We're gonna live our happy lives over here. Y'all have no plans. Y'all can't bring none of your people over here. We're gonna be good. And the rest of the world could be living their jolly life. No walkers, nothing. But we don't know that, except for that little mid-scene credit at the end of World Beyond. Now we know at least in France they are having that issue, and chances are
they're dealing with it.
If it's in France, it's in the rest of Europe, and I mean, we don't know. So again, I think we'll see some of these characters in other properties. It may not be next year because they already have 3 spinoffs coming next year. It may be in 2024, maybe in 2025. I don't think that we've seen the last of a lot of these characters. And then let's be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing something about Judith and RJ and the kids. Because y'all not going to kill all these babies. Some of these kids may end up not making it. I mean, we have seen kid deaths on this show, so it wouldn't be surprising. But I seriously don't think they're going to kill like Judith or RJ. I mean, because what's the whole point in having a Rick and Michonne show if they're going to eventually come back and find out that one or both of their kids are dead? Like, why would you want to introduce us to those characters having that heartbreak? I don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, I think they'll be okay. But there's a lot. And again, they just reintroduced these variant walkers. And I think there's a reason for them doing that. That may go beyond the scope of the show. Here's the other thing.
In other episodes.
So day before yesterday, I'm flipping through YouTube because sometimes when I don't want to watch like a whole episode of something, I'll just go to YouTube and watch various clips. I talk about doing this all the time. I'm always doing a YouTube deep dive. So I come across the webisodes from Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, and somebody put them all together in one video. So instead of watching a 2-minute clip here, a 2-minute clip there, you get to watch the whole thing. So I saw the one that was the origin of the bicycle girl zombie that Rick comes across in the park. Mm-hmm. I saw the origin for her. Now, here was the interesting thing about that one. Have you ever seen that one? It's like a mother and her 2 children. They are in an accident. And they end up going to her ex-husband's house to try to figure out this zombie thing, because this is kind of like the jumping off point of all of the walkers. So what happens is the husband has a new wife, and they show her walking down the street, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And she sees a car that has been in an accident. And I think the person who was in the accident was somebody that she knew. It was like her daughter or somebody. And the person is laying on the street dead, and she's trying to give them CPR to wake them up. And she doesn't realize that the person reanimates, her eyes open at the same time that this woman goes down to give this thing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. So of course she gets bit. She starts, getting attacked, screaming, whatever. Then a few minutes later, the ex-husband hears somebody walk into his house. And he goes out with his gun, and he's looking, and he sees blood on the floor. And he's like, I have a gun. I'm not afraid to use it. Show yourself. And he turns around, and this walker is coming through the house. His wife, as a walker, went back to her house. So I was like, there's more about these variant walkers that we just didn't really pay attention, because I know a lot of people didn't see the webisodes, or they didn't see, I think what it was, it would be like in between commercial break, you would see these little bitty episodes.
Right.
But I was like, she went back to her house. And I don't think she was the only one in this episode that did that. I think there was another walker that was kind of familiar or in the area. I don't remember, but I was like, oh, so if they could do that before, and again, there were walkers who were running, like she was trying to get away from walkers. They started chasing her. So I was like, yeah, for them to reintroduce the variants at this point, they're going to continue on with that story in some way. They have to. They have to. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel like they're done. Even once they get done with these 4 episodes.
Nope.
I mean, there's so many different spin-off ideas that they could do. I still would like to see Father Gabriel and Aaron do something together. I would like to see what Ezekiel's going to do. If Carol's going to lead the Commonwealth, I would love to see that. But I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to be patient and see how this season plays out. See what this series finale is going to be, which Casey and I will get to watch with hundreds of other people.
Yes.
In LA, and they just released the guest list as far as the stars that are going to be there.
Ready.
And then they say also, quote unquote, special guests.
You know what special guests?
Yeah, we already know. We already know. She just wants Denia there. And since they are done now with press tours for Black Panther,
she should be there.
She could be there. I would also like to see Andy Lincoln. And I would like to see Chandler there because his name wasn't on the list, but he was a big part of this show. So I would like to see them there. But yeah, so we have a week. I'm so excited.
Can't wait.
I'm so excited.
I wait.
Okay. 4 episodes left. I can't wait to talk about these episodes because I know they are going to be lit. I can't wait. But for this episode, do you guys have anything else to say aside from rest in peace, Lance? And Pamela, we coming for you.
That part.
That's it.
All right. Well, that's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. We have a YouTube channel that you can watch our videos. We have a Discord channel that you can communicate with us. And we are on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.